Imagine living your life over and over again, every moment repeated infinitely throughout time. Every decision, every joy, every pain looping forever in a perfect cycle. For some, this might sound like an unbearable nightmare, while for others, it may appear as a profound opportunity to rethink the meaning of life itself. Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence challenges us to confront not only the nature of time but also the way we live our lives. What if the way you live today, every small action, every thought, was to echo throughout eternity? Nietzsche's eternal recurrence is not just a thought experiment. It is a deep, unsettling invitation to examine our existence, our choices, and the values we hold. The very idea seems both daunting and liberating, as it forces us to confront life's fragility while offering a radical way to affirm existence. It is a concept that has fascinated philosophers, scholars, and thinkers for over a century and continues to raise questions about the nature of time, morality, and human potential. In this essay, we will delve into Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence, exploring its roots, its philosophical implications, and how it challenges our modern understanding of life, time, and existence. We'll look at how Nietzsche's bold idea intersects with existentialist thought, human freedom, and the pursuit of meaning in a world that often feels chaotic and without inherent purpose. Welcome to the unfolding journey, where we explore the depth and beauty of philosophy, history, and the fundamental questions of life. If you've ever found yourself questioning the meaning of your existence, wondering what drives our decisions, or contemplating the nature of time itself, then this channel is the perfect place for you. Here we take complex philosophical ideas and break them down into digestible, meaningful reflections that can help us navigate our own lives. If you're passionate about understanding the mysteries of existence and the wisdom of great thinkers, be sure to subscribe and join us on this unfolding journey of discovery. Nietzsche's eternal recurrence, a brief overview. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most influential philosophers of the 19th century, introduced the concept of eternal recurrence as a challenge to conventional thinking about time and existence. The idea first appears in his work Thus Spoke Zarathustra, 1883, where Nietzsche's fictional prophet Zarathustra presents the doctrine to his followers. The concept proposes that life, in all its moments, repeats itself infinitely across time, in an unchanging and eternal cycle. This means that every action, every thought, and every event that has ever occurred will happen again, exactly as it happened before, forever. At first glance, the idea of eternal recurrence seems both metaphysical and mind-bending, bordering on absurdity. How could something like this be possible? Is it a literal theory about the mechanics of time, or is it a more metaphorical and psychological challenge to how we view our lives? For Nietzsche, eternal recurrence was not meant to be a scientific assertion but rather a test of the way we approach life. It serves as a philosophical tool that pushes us to evaluate how we live and the values we embrace. But why, you might ask, would Nietzsche offer such a troubling concept? What could eternal recurrence reveal about the nature of existence? Nietzsche didn't just present this idea for intellectual amusement. He intended for it to serve as a test, a way to evaluate whether we truly affirm life or merely endure it. The origin of eternal recurrence. Understanding Nietzsche's philosophy. To fully appreciate the depth of eternal recurrence, it's essential to understand it within the context of Nietzsche's broader philosophy. Nietzsche was critical of the traditional views of time, morality, and human existence, particularly those rooted in Christian teachings. Christianity, according to Nietzsche, promoted a life-denying philosophy that focused on the afterlife while dismissing the importance of the present moment. He famously declared that God is dead, not as a literal statement but as a declaration that the traditional values of Christianity were no longer relevant or meaningful in the modern world. For Nietzsche, the concept of eternal recurrence arose as a way to counter this nihilism, the sense that life is ultimately meaningless in the face of an indifferent universe. In a world where the divine and the eternal afterlife were no longer credible sources of meaning, Nietzsche sought a new way of living that would embrace the fullness of existence, including both its suffering and its joy. Eternal recurrence forces us to ask, if we were to live our lives over and over without change, would we live differently? Would we continue to live with the same values, choices, and actions, or would we seek to transform ourselves and our lives to make each moment truly worth repeating? Nietzsche viewed this idea as a call to live dangerously and to embrace life with all its chaos, unpredictability, and impermanence. Rather than resigning ourselves to a bleak existence, eternal recurrence invites us to see the possibility of affirmation in the present moment, to embrace the vitality of life in all its forms. The psychological challenge of eternal recurrence. One of the central aspects of Nietzsche's eternal recurrence is its ability to challenge us psychologically. If you were told that your life would repeat itself endlessly, would you find that empowering or terrifying? Nietzsche presents this dilemma as a way to gauge our level of commitment to life. He asks, would you say yes to life even in its most painful and tragic moments? The ability to affirm life, despite its inherent suffering and challenges, is a mark of strength and resilience. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche imagines Zarathustra encountering a man who is overwhelmed by the thought of eternal recurrence. The man is horrified at the prospect of reliving his suffering and regrets. He is filled with despair, unable to embrace the eternal return of all that he has experienced. Nietzsche uses this moment to highlight the profound psychological divide between those who are willing to affirm life and those who reject it due to its pain. For Nietzsche, the task of affirming eternal recurrence requires more than a passive acceptance of life. It requires an active affirmation, an attitude of embracing each moment as if it were to last forever. This act of affirmation challenges us to live with intention, purpose, and love for life. Rather than escaping or denying suffering, Nietzsche urges us to confront it head-on, recognizing that even pain and loss are essential components of the human experience. This concept ties into Nietzsche's broader critique of nihilism, the belief that life is ultimately meaningless. In Nietzsche's view, nihilism arises when we fail to find meaning within the world and turn instead to external sources, such as religion or dogma, to provide a sense of purpose. Eternal recurrence, in contrast, asks us to find meaning in the very repetition of life itself, suggesting that meaning is not something external but is something we create within the context of our own existence. The affirmation of life, living as if time repeats. Perhaps the most radical aspect of Nietzsche's eternal recurrence is its demand for us to live as if our lives are worthy of repetition. If we were to live each moment over and over, would we regret our actions, our words, our choices? Or would we celebrate the way we live, with each day being an opportunity to affirm our existence? Nietzsche's eternal recurrence suggests that the highest form of human life is one in which we willingly embrace both the beauty and suffering of existence, fully aware that everything we do has infinite significance. This idea is deeply tied to Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or overman, a person who has transcended traditional values and embraced the creative power of self-overcoming. The Übermensch creates their own values and lives with the conviction that each action, no matter how small, is imbued with the potential to affirm life in its fullest expression. The eternal recurrence is a test of whether we are capable of becoming such individuals, ones who embrace life in all its complexity and are not afraid to face the challenges it brings. In a practical sense, the idea of eternal recurrence encourages us to rethink our approach to time. How often do we waste time or defer our happiness, thinking that we will always have more of it? What if every moment truly mattered? What if, in a very real sense, the way we live today is the only life we will ever have, infinitely repeated? Eternal recurrence asks us to live as though each moment counts, reminding us that time is precious and that our choices matter, not just in the present but across all eternity. Eternal recurrence in modern life. Implications for today. The concept of eternal recurrence may seem detached from our fast-paced, technology-driven modern world. Yet, its implications are as relevant today as ever. In an age where many struggle with meaninglessness, anxiety, and existential crises, Nietzsche's challenge can serve as a powerful antidote. In a society obsessed with instant gratification and the quest for comfort, eternal recurrence pushes us to think deeply about how we invest our time and energy. We live in an era of constant distractions, where the immediacy of social media and the pressure to optimize our lives often overshadow the deeper questions of purpose and meaning. Eternal recurrence calls us to reconsider the fleeting nature of life and the way we engage with the world. It asks us to slow down, to reflect on our choices, and to live with intention. It reminds us that while we may not be able to control everything in life, we can choose how we respond to it and how we choose to live each moment. In our modern context, Nietzsche's philosophy can help us break free from the chains of consumerism, superficial success, and the fear of missing out. It invites us to prioritize what truly matters: deep connection, personal growth, and a meaningful relationship with the world. It urges us to ask, if my life were to repeat forever, would I be proud of the way I am living now? Nietzsche's eternal recurrence is more than just a speculative concept. It is a radical challenge to how we understand time, existence, and our place in the world. It forces us to confront the most fundamental aspects of our lives, encouraging us to live with greater awareness and intention. By embracing the eternal return of all things, we can discover the true power of affirmation, finding meaning not in the pursuit of escape or external validation but in the creative affirmation of life itself. As you reflect on this concept, ask yourself, would you live differently if you knew your actions were to be repeated forever? Would you live with more passion, more conviction, and more authenticity? Nietzsche's eternal recurrence is not merely a theory, it is a profound invitation to live fully, boldly, and with a deep love for life, whatever it may bring. If you found Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence thought-provoking and challenging, make sure to subscribe to The Unfolding Journey. By subscribing, you'll continue to dive into profound philosophical discussions, exploring the ideas that have shaped our world and our understanding of existence. Join us on this journey, and let's continue to uncover the wisdom that helps us live our lives with purpose, meaning, and resilience. Subscribe now and stay connected for more transformative content.